The GameCube is without a doubt my favorite console of all time. It came out in the early 2000s when 3D games had only been around for roughly half a decade, so a lot of game developers at the time were still kind of figuring out exactly how they wanted their games to look and play in this new dimension, which often led to us seeing a wide variety of unique visual styles that ranged from looking really good to, well, what happened? There were so many unique and strange games on the GameCube, both from Nintendo and from other third-party companies as well, and I just really want to experience all of them, even if I can't really understand what's going on sometimes. The GameCube has a decent little list of games that never saw release outside of Japan. Now, it's nothing compared to consoles of the 90s where they just skipped over numbered entries in critically acclaimed series. You won't find anything nearly as big as a Final Fantasy or Dragon Quest game left overseas on this console. No, the majority of GameCube games that are still exclusive to Japan are weird, low-budget titles that didn't have much of an audience in the West back in the early 2000s. However, thanks to the internet, now there's nothing stopping us from experiencing what we couldn't get our hands on back then. One Piece Grand Battle 3 is a 3D arena-style fighting game in which characters from the One Piece story arcs that were considered recent in 2003 bonk each other on the heads until one of them doesn't get up. You can string basic combos together, jump, grab, and throw items. There's even a special meter that you can fill up and use to unleash some flashy special attacks. I'm really not a fighting game guy, and this really isn't a fighting game guy kind of game, but it's fun, especially if you're a fan of the series or just a fan of bizarre low-budget GameCube era games. I'm a fan of both of these things, and I have to say it's really neat seeing Luffy and friends as little miniature GameCube versions of themselves. I actually rewatched the first 200-ish episodes of One Piece recently. I've kept up with the series, but I haven't gone back to the beginning since I first got into it about 10 years ago. So it was nice picking up little obscure references to the show that were fresh in my mind, despite the fact that this game came out nearly 20 years ago. Scattered throughout the game's event battle mode are cute cutscenes, both animated in-game and clips from the actual show. There were even some original animated shorts done specifically for the game, like this clip of Zoro hanging out in the rain, or this one of the Straw Hats painting together. Many of these were adaptations of bonus pages taken straight from the manga, which is a pretty cool thing to include in an old game like this. The stages are like little dioramas of iconic locations throughout the show. Within each stage you'll see plenty of familiar faces from the first several story arcs of One Piece. Some of them are even stage hazards, like the King of Alabasta, who punches you across the map if you accidentally hit him, and Bellamy just kind of freaking out and springing all over the place. There's surprisingly a lot more charm packed into this game than I was expecting. Even the menus are colorful and packed with little details. I really like this scene of all the Straw Hats just hanging out in a restaurant together that functions as the character select screen. There's also a gallery with surprisingly high-resolution art of all the characters, and even a place for you to watch all the cutscenes you unlock. One Piece Grand Battle 3 is a good time. There's something special about anime games from the early 2000s. I like how they often put a twist on the art style of the series that they were based on. A lot of modern anime games, or pretty much all modern anime games, usually try to get as close to the source material as possible, which is what we all wanted back in the day, but now these kinds of games are the standard, and it kinda makes me miss the days of anime tie-in games that had their own unique art style to them. This is Mutsuto Nonohon, a very simple virtual pet simulator for the GameCube, released in 2002. This game starts you out filling in some basic information like your name, birthday, and, well, I thought this was the name of your, town or something, like in Animal Crossing, but it actually turned out to be the name of this little guy. So now I have a little fish named Babyland. But it works because, well, look at the baby. You can drop little food pellets for him to eat, watch him swim around, and, well, actually that's about it. After about 30 minutes of pressing all the buttons, I figured out how to take Babyland to a pond where he swam around some more, and met some other characters who were just hanging out. You can kind of control your little guy, but it only works about 1% of the time. Sometimes he'll dive down and grab treasure like this penguin toy. So I threw it in the water, assuming he'd play with it or something, and then he turned into a penguin. You'll occasionally find keys which unlock new areas for you to watch your pet swim around in. Each one is based on a certain month, so the December one is all snowy and the April one has cherry blossoms in the background and looks nice. Simple, but nice. Apparently the month of May has something to do with racing, so I got to watch Babyland get absolutely destroyed for about 15 minutes until one of his competitors got stuck on a wall and, hey, the little guy actually came in second place. Good job, Babyland. You make me so proud. This game is alright. It's not really fun to play, but it's cute. The graphics are really charming in a very simplistic way, and it's relaxing just to watch your pet swim around. This game is like a chill virtual fish tank that I could leave on for background noise, and I really like that about it. But other than that, I don't really think it's for everyone. The GameCube isn't particularly known for RPGs, but the handful that it does have are really solid, and we pretty much have all of the heavy hitters playable in English already. Far East of Eden 2 is one of the few GameCube RPGs left in Japan. I played a bit of it just to get a taste of what it's like, and I'll be honest, even if this one was in English, I don't really think I would get much out of it. And that's a shame because I've always been interested in this series from seeing the character designs online. I even used the main guy from this game in the thumbnail for this video because I thought he looked cool. The older games in the series still look kinda neat. There's one on the Super Nintendo with a translation patch that I'd like to try out someday, but I don't know, there's just something about this one that's kind of off-putting to me. I like the way things look in the overworld, these PS1 style crisp 2D sprites on very simple 3D backgrounds. I like that look, and to my knowledge this is like the only GameCube game that does this. The little towns feel cozy, and even though I don't really know what's going on in the story other than some goddess in space red-pilling us, I'm sure there's at least some interesting things going on here, but I didn't really have the motivation to get too far into this game. Mostly because the battles in this game are just really ugly, and I feel bad saying that. I usually like to see the good in weird old games like this, but after trying to explore the world a little bit while running into these dogs every few steps and literally nothing else, I just didn't have the interest to press on. And that's a shame because I was really hoping I'd found a gem with this one. On the topic of RPGs, I wanted to quickly draw some attention to Homeland. I didn't get to play this game for as much as I would have liked to, mostly because I'm holding out and hoping it gets a fan translation someday. This is an online RPG made by Chunsoft, better known as the people who worked on the first 5 Dragon Quest games, invented the Mystery Dungeon franchise, and a bunch of other stuff. I really love their work, and when I realized that Homeland was one of their projects, I had to check it out. As I mentioned, the game is an online RPG, but from what I can tell, you can pretty much play through the entire game by yourself. I know that translating a game like this is a huge undertaking, but I've seen so many random, old, weird games that I've never even heard of get fan translations in recent years, so I have faith that one day Homeland will get the same treatment. Because just look at these characters. The game stylistically looks like a cross between Earthbound and Animal Crossing, and I just really want to see more of it without having to struggle through Japanese because, well, let's face it, I'm a bad boy who hasn't studied in a very long time. So I just kind of wanted to use this video as a sort of call out to anyone who would possibly be interested in translating this. It's not like I have much reach on this platform anyway, but I'm putting it out there. And while I'm already down here on my knees begging for fan translations, we need one for Giftpia because this game looks so good. Giftpia was made by Skip Ltd, the people who made Chibi Robo, and I'm sorry I keep repeating myself, but just look at it. There's apparently a really well-made English guide online for people like myself who want to play this game, but this is a story-driven adventure game, so a lot of the charm comes from the delivery of said story through the characters, and, well, it just doesn't have the same effect when you're trying to sort your way through a foreign language and constantly needing to pull up a guide to tell you what you're supposed to do next. Unlike Homeland, I think a fan translation for this game is more likely because this studio's other work has really gained a cult following over the years, and I could see the type of people who would make a fan translation sort of hopefully gravitate towards this one. Even I'd prefer this game getting a fan translation before Homeland does, but if it doesn't happen within the next couple years, I'm just gonna have to power my way through this one with the English guide. But until then, I'll just be here, waiting.
Student